Hi, it's me again. Last night, I wrote a list of panning tips that I felt might be helpful for anyone who's starting in panning, and maybe it could be informative for someone who isn't a beginner in panning. I reference a few panning channels other than mine in it, and I'm going to link who those people are below. So the reason I decided to make this is because someone on Instagram, I don't know where my phone is, someone on Instagram asked me if I could give them any tips, and I was like, oh, I'll make a post about it. But that was before I started my YouTube. So now that I have a YouTube, I was like, why not make a video? That might be fun. I was looking for my phone, I'm filming with it. I'm so stupid. Okay, so I have 5 tips or steps. They're not really steps, but I wrote steps for some reason. And I'm going to say what it is, and then I'm going to go through and explain them, because the way I phrase them, they might not make sense. So if I mention a video of someone, I will link the video in the description as well. Okay, so my first tip is the first two really go together. It's use a product as often as possible and use it in as many ways as possible. So obviously, if you want to use something up, you have to use it. The more you use it, and the more product you use whenever you do use it, the faster it'll go by. Something I wanted to mention is this year for my panning, I'm doing weekdays, I'm using my Panlet palette and Project Pan items, and on the weekends I have the choice to use other products with them or not use them at all and just use my other stuff. And I wanted to see how much time would be wasted if you were to not use products on the weekends, because the way I've always done it is I pan until it's gone, like every single day. So I googled it. This might be incorrect, but there are 261 weekdays in all of 2018, and because there's 365 days in a year, unless it's a leap year, that means there's 104 weekend days. So if you think about it, if you want to do a project just on weekdays, where you're using the items Monday through Friday, and you are, say you're panning a blush, and it takes 90 days to finish, probably not, but let's pretend it does, you're missing 104 uses of that blush. And I mean, I guess it would be more than that, because it's one use on each side. So like that's 104 uses that you're missing out on because you're taking weekends off. And weekends doesn't sound like a lot, because that's only 2 days out of the week, but it's 2 days out of every single week of the year. So the example I used of 90 days, I did math yesterday because I knew I wouldn't be able to do it in my head. If you wanted to pan something that took 90 days and you did it just on the weekdays, if you used it just Monday through Friday, it would take 18 weeks. But if you used it every single day, it would only take 12 weeks and 6 days. So my point of that is not to say if you want to pan, you need to pan you need to use whatever you're panning every single day. The point is just to be conscious of the time that you have, and when you are restricting the days that you use it or the amount of times during a week that you're using something, you're just going to have less uses by the end of the year or by the end of whenever your project ends. So if you're wanting to finish something relatively quickly, obviously the best way to do that is to use it every single day. For number 2, which was as many ways as possible, basically multitask when you can. I wrote like paragraphs out. I might just copy and paste what I wrote in the description, but I was talking about how, like, okay, so a lot of us and pretty much everybody categorizes that in their mind how their makeup is. Like, this is a blush, this is an eyeshadow, this is a bronzer. And they're all separate categories based on where on the face you would use them. But the way to multitask is to recategorize everything into, this is a powder, this is a cream, this is a liquid, because you can use any powder anywhere on your face. So like, you can use an eyeshadow as a bronzer, or a bronzer as an eyeshadow, or a highlighter as an inner corner highlight, or an inner corner highlight eyeshadow as a face highlighter. I did want to point out that the reason that makeup is sold with the categories of where on the face is based on ingredients, like eye safe versus face safe, but also pigmentation level and blendability. Like, for me, a blush needs to be more sheer than any eyeshadow I use, because if I put something like a really pigmented eyeshadow powder right here, it's not going to blend out the way I need a blush to, and it's going to look really dark. So there is a purpose in having that differentiation, but when you want to pan something, it can help if you categorize it by sheer powder, really pigmented powder, and then go by color and figure out stuff like that. I think I got her last name wrong, but I think it's Angela Skar, who was panning the chocolate bar, I believe in 2016, but I could be wrong. And she had red hair at the time, and she was using it like in her roots to touch up. I don't know if it was like her natural hair colors coming through or her gray hair. I think she was talking about how she has gray hair now. I think she made a whole video about it. I could be wrong. But that's an example of finding creative ways to multitask is a good way to go through your products. And I'm going to touch on at the end, I'm going to go back to it because I know some people consider that cheating. I'm going to talk about the cheating thing. My third tip is do what works for you and define success for yourself. This one was really important to me, and I wrote a huge paragraph about it, and I mentioned a handful of people. So I was watching, I don't know how to say her name, so I'm going to try. LuciaTepperBeauty. She made a video where she was saying she's done panning the Naked palette, which I'm actually panning this here. This is mine, in case you want to see it. Something that resonated with me, she said, in a declutter video, if someone declutters a palette, they're like, oh, I don't want this, I don't like the colors, that would be considered really successful, and they would be congratulated in the comments or whatever. People would leave nice comments saying this was a successful declutter. But if you're doing a Pan That Palette or Project Pan or any other type of project where you're using makeup, and you say, you know what, I want to declutter this, all of a sudden that's considered a failure, and people will either leave dislikes or nasty comments. Not always, but also, regardless of what other people say, people panning, including myself, can feel like, oh, I failed, I feel bad, I did poorly in this project, I'm not good at panning. Like, even without other people's influence, we can think things like that for ourselves and feel bad about it. So what I wanted to make note of is that, I think I said it really well in here. Okay, so I said, if getting rid of an item is considered a successful declutter, then it should also be considered a successful Pan That Palette or a successful Project Pan, because success could mean finishing an item, but it could also mean finding out other ways to use an item that you like, or finding out that, you know what, this isn't for me and I don't want it in my collection anymore, and I'm going to declutter it to someone else who wants it. Or if it's old, maybe the Project Pan taught you this is actually expired and I didn't know, and now I need to throw it out. I wanted to point out that I think her name's Stephanie, the thedaiseygirly. I'm assuming you all know who she is, because obviously she's amazing. She was panning the chocolate bar, was it the semi-sweet? And she found by the end of it that she hated the palette, and she basically ended the project early, and people were giving her shit for it, and I think that she felt bad about it. I don't know how she feels now, but I think I was watching a recent video. Yeah, in her 2018 intro to Pan That Palette, she mentioned how she failed in, maybe it was her 2017 panning that, and so now she's panning the Lila palette. And I just wanted to mention that I don't think she failed that project. I think she was successful because before panning that palette, she didn't know she hated it, and she didn't realize that she didn't like, I don't know if she hates all Too Faced shadows. I think her conclusion was she doesn't like Too Faced shadows. Could be wrong. My point is that I don't think one should feel defeated or guilty about deciding that a makeup item is not for you. Like, I love my Naked palette. Like, I'm wearing Smog today all over the lid. But in Lucia, or I don't know how to say her name, I apologize. But she was saying how she really hated pretty much all of it, but I think she was saying she was using Sidecar and Half Baked or something mixed together, and she just couldn't find a look she liked from it, and how she decided she didn't want to do it anymore. And I think that the fact that she discovered that through panning the palette and then decided to declutter it is extremely successful in my eyes for a Pan That palette. When I panned the Vice 3 last year, and I've been panning it since like 2015, 2014, I discovered a lot about myself and what I want out of my collection, but I could have discovered all of those things and then decluttered it before I finished it. I chose to finish it for a multitude of reasons, but I didn't have to in order for it to be a successful Pan That palette project, because I once you get all you can get out of it in terms of what you can learn about yourself, the only reason to continue panning is if you want to, if you enjoy it. So I wanted to just say that I think Stephanie and Lucia were very successful in their projects, and I wish that more people would look at project panning as a way to evaluate products rather than this is a project where you finish items. I think part of the issue is that it's called Project Pan originally, and the idea was the goal of the project is to finish stuff. I think that Project Pan can have any goal you want it to, and I wish more people thought about it in terms of the goal is to finish it or make decisions about an item based on how I like it. For me, one of the goals of panning is to find if I feel that it's something I want to repurchase. If I can use an eyeshadow every single day on my eyelid, and when it's done, I'm like, I still want that. I wish I had it back in my collection. That, to me, meets the goal of finding out if it's worth having. Like, I love my Naked palette, but after I finish all of this, like, I marked the ones that I said I would repurchase with the gold. Maybe at the end of the project I'll be like, you know what, I don't want to buy a single Sidecar. That to me is a goal of the project, and I don't have to finish Sidecar to find that out. If I find out halfway through that I don't want to use it anymore and that I hate it, I met that goal. There's no reason to finish it unless I have a specific want to do that. Okay, my next point is decide for yourself what's useful and what's wasteful. So I got this idea for this tip from an Elle S video. Shadow Smoked, it's either 8 or like 88 or 08. There's an 8 involved. I'll link her. I really don't remember what video it was from. This was a while ago, but she talked about how she always swatches her eyeshadows on her arms before, like the night before she does her makeup, to figure out like color combinations and stuff. And she was getting shit for it because people were saying it's like cheating easily do that with your eyeshadow because you're using it up faster. And my opinion is, one, there's no such thing as cheating because there's no rules to a project pan. You're taking something you spent your money on and you're doing what you want with it. That's just stupid to begin with. But also, for the philosophy of how I do panning is I use products the way I would if I weren't panning. So if she swatches her eyeshadows on her arms all the time, she's just doing what she would do without panning. There's no reason to change how you do your makeup or how you approach your makeup just because you want to follow project panning rules. Like, that's stupid. So my point is, just because other people view something you do with your makeup as wasteful, you don't have to define it as so. You can say, you know what, this is useful to me and I'm going to do what I want. And then my last one is to have fun. And I know that sounds like no shit, but like, I think a lot of people start panning something they don't like and they lose track of the point of the project, which is to use your makeup and enjoy it. So what I was talking about in the little paragraph I wrote is, when I'm panning, even when it gets challenging, I'm still enjoying it. It's never to the point where I hate my makeup or I hate what I'm doing. It's always pushing myself to use makeup in new ways, but I enjoy it. I enjoy finding new ways to wear my makeup, and I enjoy trying eyeshadow different ways and finding out what colors I like and what colors I don't. Like, it's never stressful or anxiety-inducing. Lucia? I really don't know how to say her name. I'm sure she said it in her video. She talked about how, oh, I just lost my train of thought. She talked about how she just didn't like her makeup and she would rather do her makeup the way that she likes, with like bright colors. Like, I think she was wearing like an orange in the crease and a green on her lid in her Pan That Palette finale for the Naked Palette in that video. And she wasn't enjoying using the Naked Palette. And I think the biggest thing that matters is not whether or not you feel like you're going to let other people down, but more so not worrying about whether or not you're letting people down, but worrying about how you feel about your makeup and what you're doing, because makeup is supposed to be fun. It's a hobby for the majority of us. Project panning is supposed to be a fun challenge, not a punishment, or like, it's not a prison sentence. You don't have to take something you hate and use it every single day and make yourself unhappy or stressed. And then I just said, once you reach your goal, which could be finishing it, finding that you want to declutter it, getting some use out of it before it expires, it's going to be worth the times you struggled but persevered. But when I say struggled, I just mean you came upon a challenge in using it, and you took that challenge to find new ways to use it, which goes back to the second tip, which is multitask. So I wanted to pull out, this is my, I'm not going to be able to tell if this is going to focus or not. This is the NYX Wonder Pencil. I don't like it in my waterline because nothing sticks in my waterline except gel liner. But I want to find a way to use this so I like it. My goal is to finish it, but my main goal is to figure out how I can use it in a way that is enjoyable. So this to me is a challenge, but I'm not going to continue using it if I can't find a way I like it. I'll just declutter it, because there's no point in using something in a way you dislike. I actually just got an idea. Maybe if I put it all over my lid as like a cream base, except it's a pencil, I don't know if that'll work. Like, put it under eyeshadow, make it stick, I don't know. Like, maybe over or under primer potion, I'm not sure. And a part of having fun, I put, when you reach challenges in your projects, it can be beneficial to overcome them by panning similar products to other people, either joining Pan That Palette by panning the same palettes as someone else, or panning something you've seen other people pan, and then be able to see what they did with it. Like, a lot of people I know use Virgin and Sin as like a highlighter. I think I've seen someone contour with Naked. I might be too pale for that, but I really like it in my crease, so I don't want to do that. But like, being able to watch other people pan a product either at the same time as you or before you can help you get ideas of how to multitask, so you can find ways you like to use products, because then it'll be fun again if you actually find something you like, and that's the point. I think that's all I wanted to say. I hope this video helps. Before, when I would give tips, I would just tell people who'd message me, use something as much as possible in as many ways as possible, but I thought it was really important to add the last 3, because those are my tips for how to pan if you want to get something out of your collection really quickly and you don't care about having fun or enjoying it or whatever. But the other 3 I sort of came up with as I was watching people talking about how panning isn't just about finishing a product and posting updates to feel successful or to avoid letting people down. I don't think you can I don't think it should be considered letting people down by deciding that you want to get rid of something or that it's not for you. I think making decisions about products should be the main goal. Like, I think I commented in an Elle S video and she responded to me, but she was talking about how she was delaying her updates because she just wasn't using the products and she thinks she was gonna declutter it, but she wasn't sure. And I was like, that's exactly the kind of thing you should put in an update, because that's one of the main goals of panning, in my opinion. I mean, everyone's goals can be different. For some people, they just pan to pan because it's fun. They don't have a specific goal in mind. For me, I use project panning as a way to shape my collection into what I want it to be, so that's why those tips are important to me. I just wish in the community there was more support and encouragement around people doing what they want with their projects. This, like, as I was saying before, the same sort of encouragement and support you would give in a declutter video as you do in your for project panning videos. Like, there's no reason you should congratulate someone for the same action in one video but then condemn them in the other. It's the same thing. So why is it, based on the title of the video or based on the fact that someone added it in a project, why should there be a different connotation to the action? Like, that's crazy to me. So I hope this video was helpful or entertaining. Let me know what you think. Let me know how the lighting is here. I sort of moved my setup. Before I was holding my phone, and that's just not working for me. So I think this is good. If this is good, I'm gonna just film here all the time. If there are any videos you want to see me do, let me know. And that's it. Okay, thank you. Bye.